My beloved soul, listen to me carefully, because what I am about to speak is not meant to excite your emotions, it is meant to rearrange your understanding, for you have been interpreting your silence incorrectly, you have been measuring your progress with visible movement, and you have been assuming delay where there was actually completion. You believed that because nothing announced itself, nothing had changed, yet heaven does not always finish things loudly. Some of the most permanent endings are sealed in stillness, and some of the greatest victories are concluded while you are resting, doubting, or questioning yourself. What you do not yet realize is this: while you were asking me when it would happen, I was deciding how to finish it in a way that would never require you to revisit it again. This is why I tell you now, with authority and care, you do not know what I just finished for you, not because you are unaware, but because the magnitude of what was completed required silence to protect you from fear, from interference, and from premature celebration. You mistook heaviness for failure, yet that weight was not defeat, it was pressure from transformation, the kind of pressure that reshapes without asking permission. You mistook stillness for abandonment, yet that quiet was not absence, it was shelter, because there are moments when I must hide you from noise so that what I am finishing is not interrupted by opinions, distractions, or emotional attachments. You mistook closed doors as rejection, but they were locks placed with precision, ensuring that you would not enter something unfinished, unstable, or unprepared to sustain who you were becoming. My beloved soul, understand this deeply: I did not delay you, I preserved you, and what feels like time lost will soon reveal itself as time saved. Do not skip this moment, my beloved soul, because what you are receiving right now is not encouragement, it is explanation. Explanation for why your energy shifted before your circumstances did. Explanation for why you stopped fighting battles you once felt responsible to win. Explanation for why certain conversations no longer pulled at your heart, and why certain attachments quietly loosened without effort. These were not signs of disinterest or emotional distance, they were signs that something had been concluded at the root. You were no longer required to carry what I had already released, yet your mind had not fully caught up with what your spirit already knew. You questioned your discernment because things appeared unchanged on the surface, but beneath what you could see, alignments were breaking, agreements were expiring, and cycles that were never meant to walk with you into the next phase were being quietly dismantled. I did not ask you to watch them end, because watching would have tempted you to intervene, to explain, to justify, or to rescue what was never meant to continue. So I ended them myself. My beloved soul, there are endings you are not meant to manage, there are separations you are not meant to negotiate, and there are conclusions that must be finalized by heaven so that your compassion does not override your destiny. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because you must understand why you felt exhaustion without effort, why rest did not immediately refresh you, and why even joy felt unfamiliar for a while. That was not emptiness, it was recalibration. Your inner world was adjusting to the absence of weight you had carried for so long that its removal felt strange. When a burden becomes familiar, its absence can feel like loss, even when it was harming you. I removed what you normalized, I healed what you learned to live with, and I resolved what you assumed was permanent, and that internal shift created a pause while your soul learned how to function without constant strain. My beloved soul, you returned to the same prayers again and again, not because you lacked faith, but because you did not yet see the evidence. Those prayers were not ignored, they were completed quietly. Some answers must arrive without announcement, because announcing them too early invites resistance, misunderstanding, and spiritual interference. Silence was not punishment, it was protection. I shielded what I finished until it could stand on its own without explanation. That is why you were led into solitude, not isolation, but insulation, sacred space where your spirit could adjust without the pressure of performing understanding for others. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because what I finished was not only external, it was internal. I resolved emotional conflicts you stopped speaking about. I healed wounds you turned into personality traits. I closed loops you believed you would carry forever. Now you are noticing subtle changes. Your reactions are slower. Your triggers are weaker. Your fear no longer speaks as loudly. That is not self-control, that is healing. You were asking me to change the outcome, but I was changing the foundation, because outcomes shift naturally when roots are healed. You will soon experience results that feel effortless, not because you avoided struggle, but because the struggle already served its purpose. My beloved soul, I know you expected confirmation through signs, through sudden messages, through dramatic shifts, yet sometimes the greatest confirmation is calm. Calm that does not argue. Calm that does not seek reassurance. Calm that simply knows. That knowing is rising in you now, quietly, steadily, without forcing itself forward. You are no longer chasing closure, because closure has already occurred. You are no longer waiting for permission, because permission has already been granted. You are no longer searching for clarity, because clarity is unfolding as you learn to trust stillness instead of fearing it. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what I finished was not just a chapter, it was a version of you that could not survive where you are going. I ended that version with mercy. I ended it with precision. I ended it with love. You did not realize how heavy it was until it lifted. Now, as this truth settles, allow it to breathe within you. Allow it to dismantle the old narratives that told you that you were behind, forgotten, or overlooked. Nothing about you has been wasted. Nothing about your journey was accidental. Nothing about what I finished will need to be repeated. My beloved soul, receive this as remembrance, not motivation. Let it anchor you. And if this word resonates within you, if something deep inside recognizes it as truth, then acknowledge it openly, align yourself with it, and remain present. What was completed in silence is preparing to speak for itself, and when it does, you will finally understand why every step unfolded the way it did, and why it could not have ended any other way. My beloved soul, as this word continues to unfold within you, I want you to understand something deeper, something your mind has been resisting while your spirit has already accepted it. The reason you felt disconnected from what once felt familiar is because familiarity was built around a version of you that no longer exists. You kept trying to return emotionally to places that could no longer recognize you, and that confusion made you question yourself, yet it was never confusion, it was evidence that something had been finished. When a chapter is truly completed by heaven, it does not leave behind open questions, it leaves behind quiet distance, and that distance is not coldness, it is clarity forming. You were not becoming indifferent, you were becoming aligned, and alignment always feels lonely before it feels peaceful. There were moments when you wondered why your heart no longer reacted the same way, why certain words no longer wounded you, and why certain patterns no longer tempted you. You assumed you were shutting down, yet in truth you were stabilizing. Emotional stability often feels unfamiliar to those who lived in survival mode for too long. You were used to intensity, used to emotional highs and lows, used to carrying responsibility for outcomes that were never yours to manage. When I finished what I finished, I removed the assignment that kept you emotionally overextended. That is why you felt strangely calm in situations that once consumed you. That calm is not emptiness, it is sovereignty returning to your inner world. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what I am revealing now explains why you stopped explaining yourself. You no longer felt the urge to justify your decisions, to defend your boundaries, or to convince others of your intentions. That urge disappeared because you were no longer seeking permission to become who you already are. When I finished what was pending, I also finished the internal negotiation that kept you emotionally available to things that drained you. You are not withdrawn, you are resolved, and resolution brings a quiet confidence that does not announce itself. You may have noticed that your prayers changed. They became shorter. They became simpler. Sometimes they became silent. That silence did not mean distance between us. It meant trust had matured. When trust matures, words become less necessary. You no longer begged for outcomes. You no longer pleaded for clarity. You began resting in the knowing that whatever unfolds will not violate your spirit. That shift did not come from discipline. It came from completion. I finished the internal unrest that kept you questioning whether I was with you. Now you sense my presence even without signs, and that is growth you could not have rushed. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because I must explain why you felt emotional fatigue even after letting go. Letting go is not the same as healing. Healing happens after release, and healing requires stillness. Your soul needed time to reorganize itself without the weight it carried for so long. You were not tired because you were weak. You were tired because your nervous system was learning a new way of existing. Peace can feel exhausting at first when chaos has been your baseline. That exhaustion was temporary, and it was necessary. My beloved soul, you have been revisiting memories without emotional charge lately. Things that once brought pain now feel distant, almost neutral. That neutrality is not suppression. It is resolution. I closed emotional loops that kept reopening in your mind. I healed associations that tied your worth to outcomes. I separated your identity from your struggles. Now you are beginning to understand that what you survived does not define you, it refined you. This understanding does not arrive loudly. It arrives gently, like a truth settling rather than striking. There were relationships you kept hoping would evolve. You waited for understanding. You waited for reciprocity. You waited for acknowledgement. When I finished what I finished, I released you from waiting. Not because those people were evil, but because they were not assigned to your future. Waiting ended because the assignment ended. That is why you no longer feel angry. Anger fades when expectation dissolves. You are not bitter. You are free. Freedom often feels like emptiness before it feels like relief, because your soul is learning to exist without emotional contracts that once consumed it. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because you must understand why you stopped forcing outcomes. You stopped chasing conversations. You stopped revisiting explanations. You stopped trying to fix dynamics alone. That shift was not apathy. It was wisdom settling in. When I finished the work, I also restored your discernment. You now recognize where your energy belongs and where it does not. That discernment feels natural now, not like effort, because it is aligned with truth rather than fear. My beloved soul, you may feel like you are standing in between, no longer attached to the past, yet not fully engaged with what is coming. This in-between space is sacred. It is where integration happens. It is where lessons turn into wisdom. It is where scars turn into understanding. Do not rush this space. I am not withholding your next season. I am anchoring you so that when it arrives, you do not bring old wounds into new blessings. What I finished removed the patterns that would have repeated if left unhealed. You are beginning to trust yourself again. Not the impulsive self. Not the fearful self. But the steady self. The self that listens before reacting. The self that chooses peace without guilt. That trust is the fruit of what was completed. You no longer need external validation to confirm your inner knowing. That is why opinions affect you less. That is why silence no longer scares you. That is why waiting no longer feels threatening. You are not waiting for permission. You are waiting with confidence. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what I finished also prepared what is coming. Completion always precedes introduction. I do not introduce new assignments into unresolved hearts. I do not release new connections into unhealed spaces. You are being positioned quietly, without pressure, without announcement. When the next door opens, you will walk through it without hesitation, without overthinking, without fear of loss, because you will know that nothing meant for you can bypass you. My beloved soul, this calm you are experiencing is not temporary. It is foundational. It is the result of internal alignment. Guard it, not by force, but by awareness. Remain present. Remain honest with yourself. Remain open without returning to what drained you. What was finished does not need revisiting. What was healed does not need reproof. Trust what has been completed, even if your mind still seeks evidence. Receive this truth gently. Let it settle without urgency. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are exactly where completion places those who are about to step forward with clarity rather than desperation. What I finished has already changed you. Now, let it reveal its results in time. My beloved soul, there is another layer you must understand, one that explains why your surroundings have started responding differently to you even when you have not consciously changed your behavior, because completion does not only alter what you feel, it alters what you attract, what you tolerate, and what can remain near you. When something is truly finished in the spirit, it releases a frequency that quietly reorganizes your environment. You may have noticed subtle shifts, people approaching you differently, conversations changing tone, opportunities feeling closer yet unforced, and even resistance revealing itself without you provoking it. This is not coincidence. This is alignment asserting itself. What I completed within you is now speaking outwardly, and not everything around you can translate the language of who you have become. There were systems you fit into before because you were still accommodating discomfort. There were dynamics that survived because you were willing to overextend. Now those same systems feel strained, not because you are difficult, but because you are no longer compatible with imbalance. Compatibility changes when healing completes. You did not become rigid. You became whole. Wholeness does not argue for space. It naturally occupies it. That is why certain people feel uneasy around your silence now. That is why explanations feel unnecessary. That is why your presence alone carries weight. This is not dominance. This is stability. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because what I am revealing now will prevent you from misinterpreting the resistance you may encounter next. When completion happens, exposure follows. Exposure reveals what was never aligned but was previously tolerated. This is why some connections may test you suddenly, not because they are new challenges, but because they are expired assignments reacting to their end. Do not mistake their discomfort for your responsibility. You are not required to make endings comfortable for those who benefited from your unfinished state. You are learning the difference between peace and passivity. Peace does not mean you accept everything. It means you no longer fight what is not yours to fix. You may feel moments of firmness rising in you, moments where your voice is steady, your decisions are final, and your boundaries feel non-negotiable. That firmness is not hardness. It is clarity embodied. When I finished what I finished, I removed your fear of being misunderstood. You no longer need to soften truth to be accepted. Truth now stands on its own. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because you must understand why your intuition feels sharper now. Discernment increases when emotional noise is reduced. You are no longer filtering decisions through old wounds. You are no longer reacting from unresolved pain. That is why your yes feels clean and your no feels calm. You are not second-guessing because the internal conflict has been resolved. What once felt confusing now feels obvious. That obviousness is not arrogance. It is alignment recognized. My beloved soul, you may notice that time feels different. Waiting no longer feels like punishment. Slowness no longer feels threatening. This is because urgency was attached to fear, and fear has been addressed. You are no longer rushing to prove, to secure, to prevent loss. You trust continuity now. Trust is a byproduct of completion. When something is unfinished, the soul rushes. When something is healed, the soul rests. That rest is not stagnation. It is readiness. There are blessings approaching that require discernment rather than excitement. You will not need to chase them. You will recognize them by the absence of anxiety. What is aligned will not require you to abandon your peace. What is prepared will not demand urgency. What is assigned will feel familiar to your spirit even if it is new to your experience. That familiarity is the confirmation you have been waiting for, though it will arrive quietly. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because I must explain why some doors are opening slowly. Slowness is not resistance. It is precision. I am ensuring that when you step forward, you do so without dragging remnants of the past. Integration takes time. You are not being tested. You are being stabilized. Rushing would reintroduce patterns I already healed. That is why timing feels deliberate. Trust this pace. It is calibrated to your wholeness. My beloved soul, there will be moments when you are tempted to re-engage old habits, not because you want them, but because they are familiar. Familiarity can feel comforting even when it is harmful. When that temptation arises, remember this truth. What was finished does not need review. What was healed does not need re-examination. Curiosity about the past is normal, but returning to it is unnecessary. You are not meant to relearn lessons you already mastered. You are stepping into a phase where your energy speaks before your words do. People will feel your boundaries without you announcing them. They will sense your expectations without you negotiating them. This is not intimidation. This is coherence. Your inner world and outer expression are finally aligned. That alignment cannot be faked, and it cannot be taken. It is earned through completion. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because what I finished also removed your fear of loss. You are no longer afraid to lose what is not aligned. You are no longer bargaining with uncertainty. You trust that what leaves creates space for what belongs. That trust will protect you more than control ever could. Control was born from fear. Trust is born from truth. My beloved soul, understand this clearly. You are not waiting for life to begin. Life has already begun responding to the version of you that emerged after completion. You may not see the full picture yet, but you can feel the stability beneath your feet. That stability is not temporary. It is built on resolved foundations. Walk gently with it. Honor it. Do not rush to decorate what is still settling. Receive this word with calm assurance. Let it anchor you rather than excite you. Excitement fades. Alignment remains. What I finished has already positioned you. Now allow what follows to arrive without interference. Trust the quiet. Trust the pace. Trust yourself. My beloved soul, as you continue walking through this unfolding awareness, I need you to recognize how deeply the work that was finished has altered your inner posture, because before, you leaned forward in anticipation, bracing yourself for disappointment, preparing for loss before it arrived, but now you stand upright, not because everything is visible, but because everything essential is settled. This is why your reactions have slowed, why you pause before responding, why silence no longer feels threatening, and why you are no longer compelled to fill every gap with explanation. You are no longer operating from defense. You are operating from grounding. What was finished removed the constant need to protect yourself emotionally, and that freedom is reshaping the way you engage with the world. Searching for mirrors to confirm who you are. You recognize yourself now. My beloved soul, do not skip this moment, because this understanding will protect you from misinterpreting the quiet confidence that is emerging within you. Confidence does not always feel bold. Sometimes it feels neutral. Sometimes it feels like not reacting. Sometimes it feels like walking away without bitterness. That neutrality is not weakness. It is strength that no longer needs proof. You are learning that you do not owe your energy to every invitation, nor your presence to every demand. What was finished freed you from compulsive availability. You may notice that your empathy has matured. You still care, but you no longer carry. You still listen, but you no longer absorb. This shift is subtle, yet profound. Empathy without boundaries drains. Empathy with discernment heals. I did not harden your heart. I fortified it. You can now love without losing yourself, support without sacrificing your stability, and understand without excusing what harms you. This is emotional wisdom, and it only arrives after completion. Stay with me till the end, something powerful is waiting for you, because I must explain why your past no longer feels close, even when memories arise. Distance does not mean denial. It means resolution. When something is unresolved, it stays loud. When it is healed, it becomes quiet. You are no longer haunted by what happened. You are informed by it. That difference matters. It means the past no longer dictates your emotional weather. You can remember without reliving. That is freedom. My beloved soul, you are beginning to notice that your decisions feel cleaner now. Less internal debate. Less emotional bargaining. Less fear-based reasoning. This clarity did not come from willpower. It came from alignment. When internal conflict is resolved, decisions become simple, even when they are not easy. You may still feel emotion, but it no longer controls direction. You are guided by truth rather than impulse. That guidance is the fruit of what was finished. There may be moments when you miss the intensity of who you used to be. Intensity can feel like passion, even when it is anxiety in disguise. Do not confuse calm with lack of depth. Your depth is intact. It is simply no longer chaotic. You are learning how to exist without constant emotional stimulation. Peace can feel unfamiliar at first. Give yourself time to adjust. This is a healthier rhythm, and it will sustain you longer than adrenaline ever could. Do not leave yet, heaven has more to reveal, because I want you to understand how this completion affects what you are about to receive. You will not attract what mirrors your wounds anymore. You will attract what matches your stability. This means that what comes next may feel quieter, steadier, and less dramatic than what you are used to. Do not dismiss it. Drama is not proof of significance. Consistency is. What is meant for you will not demand emotional chaos to stay alive. My beloved soul, you may also notice that you are more selective with your words. You speak less, but when you do, your words carry weight. That weight comes from congruence. Your inner world and outer expression are aligned. You are no longer saying one thing while feeling another. This integrity brings peace, and peace attracts respect, even from those who do not understand you. You are no longer chasing validation. You are embodying truth. There will be moments when others try to pull you back into old dynamics, not intentionally, but because they have not adjusted to who you are now. You do not need to correct them aggressively. Simply remain consistent. Consistency will teach them what explanations cannot. If they adapt, alignment remains. If they resist, distance will increase naturally. Neither outcome is your burden to manage. What was finished removed your responsibility for outcomes that are not yours. If you remain till the end, the final word will change everything, because I want you to know this clearly. You are not becoming less emotional. You are becoming emotionally regulated. You are not becoming detached. You are becoming discerning. You are not losing connection. You are choosing healthier ones. These distinctions matter, and understanding them will prevent you from doubting the work that has been done within you. My beloved soul, trust the steadiness you feel. Trust the pauses. Trust the lack of urgency. These are signs that your inner world is no longer fragmented. Fragmentation creates noise. Wholeness creates calm. What I finished brought you back into yourself. Now, remain present. Remain honest. Remain gentle with your process. You do not need to rush into what is next. What is next will meet you where you are, because you are finally ready to receive without losing yourself again. My beloved soul, as this message reaches its completion, I want you to sit with one final truth, not as something to analyze, but as something to receive, because the end of this word mirrors what has already ended within you. You are no longer standing at the edge of uncertainty. You are standing within resolution. What I finished was not meant to shock your senses. It was meant to stabilize your spirit. Stability is not dramatic. It is dependable. It is quiet. It is strong. And now you are beginning to understand that the absence of chaos is not emptiness, it is evidence that something fundamental has been healed. You no longer need to revisit the past to extract meaning from it. The meaning has already been integrated. You no longer need to rehearse old conversations or imagine different outcomes. Those loops were closed. Closure does not always come with explanation. Sometimes it comes with peace that cannot be argued away. That peace you feel, even when nothing around you has fully changed yet, is the confirmation you were waiting for. It did not arrive through signs or voices. It arrived through alignment. My beloved soul, you are not required to announce your transformation. Those who are meant to recognize it will feel it. Those who are not will drift without confrontation. Let that be enough. You do not need to convince anyone of what has shifted. The work that was finished does not need validation. It needs protection. Protect it by honoring your boundaries. Protect it by choosing rest over reaction. Protect it by trusting your discernment even when it leads you away from familiarity. Do not skip this final moment, because heaven has one more truth to seal within you. What is coming next will meet you at the level of your wholeness. It will not require you to prove your worth. It will not require you to abandon your peace. It will not require you to revisit who you used to be. It will recognize you as you are now. That recognition will feel natural, not overwhelming, and that is how you will know it belongs. My beloved soul, there will be days when you forget how far you have come, when old doubts whisper, when silence feels uncertain again. In those moments, remember this. What was finished does not reopen. What was healed does not relapse. What was resolved does not require maintenance through fear. Trust the work that has been done. Trust the calm that followed. Trust yourself enough to move forward without dragging proof behind you. You are allowed to build a future that is not shaped by survival. You are allowed to experience joy without anticipating loss. You are allowed to rest without guilt. These permissions were granted when completion occurred. You did not imagine this shift. You earned it through endurance, through honesty, through willingness to let go even when understanding came later. My beloved soul, let this be the end of striving. Let this be the end of questioning whether you missed something. Let this be the beginning of walking forward with quiet confidence. What was finished has already cleared the way. Now, simply walk. Not hurried. Not fearful. Just present. This is enough. Type Amen.